Hey, what's going on, guys? Today we're in the field doing a repairability assessment. The purpose of this assessment is to see if this roof can be repaired. I have an X for the shingle that we'll be removing and then replacing. The connecting shingles, shingle 1 and 2, are going to need to be, are possibly affected by unsealing shingle X, 3 and 4. 3 and 4 are both connecting to X as well. And then when we have to unseal shingle 5 and 6 to access the nails for shingle X, same with 7 and 8. So those are all of the connecting shingles that may be impacted during this repair process. When doing repair work, we want to make sure that we leave the property the same, if not better condition than whenever we start that repair work. I'm also going to be documenting myself, so I can do some close-up pictures to show you what may or may not be going on. So, yeah, we generally start, we want to unseal all shingle X, 5, 8, 7, and 6. I'll get started. This one's already unsealed. Whenever you're unsealing, personally, I'm a big fan of a flat bar, this clobberine. Shout out to John, who put me onto that one. I am not seeing much material transfer on these. A little bit here. Next. I'm getting some resistance, so there very well could be some. Yeah, right here there is. I can get a picture of that as well, but you can see right there a big chunk of the asphalt sealant, and it appears to be some of the fiberglass matting is exposed right there. That's something that we definitely want to get a picture of. So, one other thing I want to point out, this shingle ends here, which is going to be underneath this tab for shingle 8. Because there's a gap here on the lower and upper section of the shingle, you want to be extra cautious so that you're not catching that gap with your pry bar and creating more damage. So it's important to make sure that you're using enough care and consideration whenever you're doing repair work on somebody else's property. Same thing as this one right here. All right. So we've removed or unbonded X, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And we want to start from the top down. This particular one's going to be a little bit more difficult because the installer decided to use staples instead of nails, so this can be a bit trickier to get out. So let's start with that one. Yeah, and immediately that shingle pulled right through. You can see that staple, which is there. It just makes it a lot harder to pry that out. And try to clean up. We don't need nails, or in this case staples, all over somebody's lawn, especially if they have small young children, dogs, or maybe they're like Chris and they walk around barefoot or in their flip-flops. Is it fair to assume that you do that at home? All right, so I believe we got all of those. Yeah, this one just tore as well. The same issue that happened with the other one. That staple is torn right through the entire length of the staple, where it just had the 2 holes originally. Like this one had 2 holes. This one now just has an entire gash across it from the removal. There should be one more over here. Yep, this one. Make sure you double check before you go ahead and pull the shingle out, because then you're going to create a whole bunch more damage. So I'm going to get a picture of the shingle removed. This was pre-existing from the storm, so we're not going to count that as part of the damage that occurred. I can show so on this shingle, okay, this one's being removed, but it did cause material transfer, which would be on shingle 5. So that shingle now has damage. I believe the other one that tore out, nope, there's material transfer on this one as well. So in this case, I recommend documenting the shingle for shingle identification purposes. We've already done that. You can see, do not remove YT8 or Y28. That is very common with Owens Corning. This specific shingle we identified as an Owens Corning Classic, which they don't make 3-tabs at all anymore. Their most recent Owens Corning 3-tab product was the Supreme. Here's another shot of that material transfer right there. Give you an idea how big that is. It's about almost 1 inch. You can even see the fiberglass that came off with this shingle. So since they don't make this, we're actually going to be reinstalling this shingle. And as we went top down on the way to remove this, we're actually going to go bottom up on the installation. So you always do, for the manufacturer's specs, you want to nail, actually it should have been a little bit closer to the end of that shingle. Same with the end of this one. And you typically install right above the rain key. Generally, if the roof would have been installed with shingle or nails, you can't reuse that same nail hole. So you want to try to obviously miss that, caulk that old hole, and then install the new shingle either to the right or the left of that. In this case, they're stapled, so we're just going to try to miss the place that the staple was removed. When I lift the shingle, I've noticed this on all the other ones. If you want to come zoom in here, there's loose granules right here, and this needs to be lifted at a minimum at that angle. You can see the nail head right there, and I need at least some room to go back and forth to hammer that. So there's a lot of granule loss that's just coming off. And as an example, I can show you, it's not happening here, but it is happening on the ones that we've done repairs to. So let's compromise the integrity of the shingle. Okay. This one, I didn't accidentally hit it, but in the process of repair work, I damaged shingle 8. And again, all of these have already had pretty bad granule loss from the repair process. Here's another section where the staple that was removed was damaged. I can get a good picture of that to show as well. And then again, you can see the granules just coming off from lifting the shingle. Oh. Yeah, I believe that's it. So this one had the material transfer on right there. So that's going to be shingle 1 suffered damage. Shingle 2 is in good shape. Shingle 3 is in good shape. And I believe shingle 6 is that most recent one. Shingle 4 is also in good shape. So I typically like to make a list to show the shingles that were failing, which is going to be 1, 3,
6, 7, 8,
5, yeah, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And the ones that passed would have been 2, 3, and 4. So for one shingle, 5 other shingles suffered damage. So this one shingle repair will now turn into a 6 shingle repair. That's just not a feasible option. We're pretty prideful in not creating more damage and leaving a property better than how we found it. I'm not comfortable doing a repair on this specific roof assembly. But again, it's always good to document all of that information so you can share it with the homeowner like yourself. So at least you're aware of why it is that you may have to spend the money for an entire roof replacement. But again, if you're okay with just spending $500 with chucking a truck, that's an option. It's just not a good fit for us. So thanks again.